Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Pulis, and I'm an education, instruction, and outreach librarian here at the Cleveland Health Sciences Library. Today, I'm going to present on a topic that's on everybody's mind, and that is using AI in literature reviews. So before we get started, I wanted to take a minute to tell you all a little bit about the Cleveland Health Sciences Library. Since this event has been opened up university-wide, some of you may not know who we are or why we're even presenting on this topic. So we are a subject specialty library here at CASE, and our resources support the medical, dental medicine, nursing, and the broader health sciences community across campus. And because evidence synthesis is so important to the health sciences, our librarians have expertise in this area. And what I mean by that is our librarians have advanced training and certifications in conducting systematic reviews. So we provide several evidence synthesis services free of charge to faculty, students, residents, and staff in the CASE community. We provide in-class and online instruction, whether that's group or one-on-one. We offer a formal systematic review service where we can coach you or serve as a co-author on your project. And we also offer more informal one-on-one literature review consultations over Zoom. So if any of that is interesting to you or you want to learn more about the library, I put our contact information here on the slide, including a QR code. We're happy to tell you more about us and everything we can offer to you. So, and one last slide before we actually get started, I do need to make two disclaimers. And the first is that AI tools and policies are really changing fast. So I'm going to mention some AI tools throughout this presentation, and I'm going to give you some best practices, but the information I'm providing today can only provide guidance for this moment in time. So with that said, we do keep up to date on all of the latest research and all of the latest tools being put out. So we will do our best to keep offering sessions similar to this with any updates or changes as they come out. And the second disclaimer we'd like to make is that the Cleveland Health Sciences Library does not endorse any specific AI tools. Our jobs as librarians are really just to educate you about them and maybe suggest, tools that might be appropriate for your situation. But ultimately, you and your review team will need to assess each tool and decide if it's appropriate for your specific use case. So why are we here? And I think we all know the answer to that question. And that is the medical literature is growing faster than anyone can possibly keep up with. And then number two, conducting a literature or systematic review is extremely time consuming and resource intensive. So then along comes AI and it's promising us the moon. It promises instant searching or screening in seconds, summarizing everything so you don't even need to read anything. Basically just doing all the work for you in seconds. And so a lot of us are like, this seems a lot better than our current method of doing it. I know all of us have probably, whoever's done a systematic review has thought that there's got to be a better way to do it. But is AI the better way? That is what we're talking about today. Can you use AI or should you use AI? And the answer is it depends. Unfortunately, there really is no yes or no question. There's really a lot of different considerations you need to make. And so all of the bullet points that you see on the slide here today are what I'm going to go into detail during my presentation here today. The only bullet point I'm not going to talk about is to consider the publisher and funder guidelines. I'm not going to go over that one because that's usually hyper specific to your situation. So I don't want to get into that. But with that said, be sure to check your publisher and funder guidelines before getting started. So let's jump right in and talk about the first bullet point on that list, and that is the general pros and cons of AI. So let's start out, and this is really just a high level, the general pros and cons of AI use in research. And unless you've been living under a rock, you have seen these before and you know about them, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about any specific one. But AI does offer a lot of pros that are very compelling when you think about using it for your literature review. Obviously, AI can save you lots of time. You can search AI using natural language, which is a lot more intuitive and easier than creating a syntax-specific search in a database. AI is really great at relevancy ranking articles, which means that when you search AI, it's pretty good chance that you're going to get some articles that are just really perfect for you, which you don't necessarily always see that in the traditional databases like PubMed or Embase. You'll get, I'll say, better articles in those databases, but it's not always great at ranking the best ones to the top. And last, AI is great at summarizing research at a high level. Once it gets more in depth, you may have some issues, but at a high level, it's pretty good. So for the cons, again, you've probably heard all these before. AI contact introduces bias. AI tools are not transparent. We don't always know the data sources or the algorithms that are used on the back end. Anything you do in AI is not reproducible. There's still hallucinations and errors. There's data privacy and environmental concerns. There's copyright and licensing issues, which means if you're not always allowed to import any full text of articles into AI to evaluate. You have to consider that AI use may violate policies. It could impact, if you're a student, it could negatively impact your education. And finally, you are responsible for any content that AI puts out. So that can be a heavy burden sometimes. So let's jump into some of the policies that I've mentioned. And the first one is university policies, which the Office of the Provost sets here at the university. So according to the AI policies, faculty have complete discretion over allowable use of AI tools in their courses. So improper use of AI can violate the academic integrity policy. So any students out there, if you're in doubt, ask your instructor what is allowed or what is not. I also want to make a note that some individual schools and departments are working on their own supplemental AI policies. So be sure to check if your school has any specific recommendations that go above and beyond this. So the university also offers some best practices, which are also, fairly intuitive. Use AI as a collaborative tool, not as a replacement for human thinking. Practice integrity, transparency, and data security when using AI. Review and refine the AI outputs, and then stay informed about any AI guidance and policies. So let's jump in. Fortunately, there are about some other guidelines. Fortunately, there are 3 organizations that have published guidelines for AI use in systematic and scoping reviews, and that is the Responsible AI and Evidence Synthesis, which goes by the acronym RAISE. Cochrane, Campbell Collaborative, and JBI issued some guidelines. And then we have the preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis, aka PRISMA, which I'm guessing most of you are familiar with. So RAISE 1 recommends that you disclose your AI use, you follow established reporting standards such as PRISMA, you report AI tool details, including what tool you use, the version, and the date you used it, describe how you used AI, such as the purpose, the stage of the synthesis, and any modifications applied, justify your AI use, and then disclose any conflicts of interest. Cochrane, Campbell Collaborative, and JBI, which if you haven't heard of them, these are the 3 big international organizations working in evidence synthesis. They came together to issue a joint statement, and their statement is, you're going to notice some themes here along these statements. The first is you are responsible for and the evidence synthesis. So be sure to check the AI output. Follow the RAISE recommendations. They say you can use AI or automation tools as long as you can demonstrate that it didn't compromise the methodological rigor or integrity of your synthesis. AI and automation should be used with human oversight, and you should fully and transparently report this in your review. Last, we have PRISMA guidelines. And so I wanted to point out that PRISMA does not have a specific AI guideline, but they are working on an AI extension. So we'll keep you posted when that gets published. But the PRISMA 2020 statement that is out there now recommends explicitly reporting the use of any automation tools, including how they influenced your decisions and outcomes. So if you do use an AI tool in the systematic review process, you should report which tools were used, what stage you used them at, how the tool was used, how the tool was configured or trained, the level of human oversight, and any validation or performance checks that you use to make sure that the output was accurate. All right, so moving on from the stated guidelines, when you use AI, really has an impact of whether it's okay or not. So looking at the different stages of a review here, you'll see in that far right column whether AI use is acceptable or not. There's some yeses, some no's, and there's some with cautions. So I'm going to go through these stages one by one and give you some tools to use and give you a little bit more context about why it's a yes, no, or a with caution. And so the first stage is the pre-review planning stage. And in this case, is the perfect time to use AI. Some example use cases we can think of is if, say, you're just getting started and you want a general overview of the literature. Maybe you want to find some seed articles to inform your research question or to form the base of your review, or even creating a project timeline or organizational checklist. These are all things that AI is really great at. So some tools you can try. If you're looking for literature summaries or seed articles, you can use just general chatbots. We specifically recommend any deep research chatbots. The typical research tools you've probably all heard about, like Open Evidence, Elicit, Consensus, or Perplexity, or Cite AI. And these are just some examples. There's lots of other tools out there like that. I do want to point out that the library does provide an institutional license to Cite AI. So if you're interested in that, visit the library's website. And I do want to also caution you that if you do use some of these AI tools to find literature summaries or seed articles, don't trust the citations or summaries blindly because AI tools still hallucinate and create fake citations. We catch them all the time. Some people say, oh, no, AI doesn't have fake citations anymore. And I say, yes, they do. So always verify, make sure it exists, and at least review the source material to make sure that the summary is in line with what's being stated. If you want to use AI for project planning, you can use just regular chatbots, or Google Notebook LM is a great tool for this. I also want to just give everybody a reminder that if you use AI tools, be sure to use the closed AI tools available at ai.case.edu. So the next stage of the review is for your research question. Again, this is another one where AI shines. A use case would be like you have a general or vague topic and you want to turn this into a fully formed research question. We see this one a lot with our students. They have a topic, but they just kind of get stuck. Like either it's too specific or not specific enough, and they don't, they're not experts enough how to get to the next step to get in, turn that into a research question. And we know AI strength is creating novel or unexpected results. So sometimes that can jog you out of your tunnel vision on a topic. So an example for this, if you're going to use a chatbot to have AI refine your research question, you can use an example prompt like this. I am a first year medical student at a research intensive university. I need to conduct a literature review for my summer research project. My general topic is on AI-based tools in clinical decision making, but I need to develop a more focused research question. Can you provide some potential research questions for me to consider? Use a PICO format. And generally, if you do something like this, AI will spit back like 5 or so different questions to consider. And from there, you can explore them and hopefully it will give you some ideas for you to pursue. So the next step is creating a search strategy with AI. And in this one, it's a mixed bag. And I'm going to say with caution for this one. Using AI for this purpose is generally okay for developing a very basic search strategy with only 1 or 2 concepts or just a few keywords. It's generally pretty good at identifying general search concepts, meaning you may put your research question in there and ask AI to identify the main search concepts. It's also pretty good at suggesting synonyms for concepts. However, once you go beyond that, AI really fails. Like, for instance, if you want AI to create a PubMed search and you want mesh terms or any other controlled vocabulary, AI is terrible at that. It will full on make up mesh terms, but it looks convincing, so it's kind of hard. Um, it's also not great at getting database specific syntax correct or translating your searches across different databases and getting the syntax for each one correct. So the bottom line is AI for creating search strategy is really hit or miss. And you really need to review and check every search term suggested by AI. And in our experience, this is usually more time consuming than creating a search on your own. So keep that in mind, whether you want to use AI for this. Now, the next step is literature searching, which is finding those articles that you want to include in your review. And AI use in this is a hard no. Lots of research has shown that large language models are poor search engines. For example, a 2025 systematic review that evaluated Gen AI found that AI systems missed 68 to 96% of studies when used for searching, with a median miss rate of 91%. So I think that speaks for itself. This is not just one study, multiple studies support this. So our recommendation is when you're going to look for the literature to include in your review, stick with the traditional databases like PubMed, Embase, CINAHL, or Web of Science, or those type of formal databases. So the next step is screening. And this one, screening is an area where AI is really showing some promise. And I cited a study here that showed that an LLM-assisted review system achieved 90% sensitivity during abstract screening when used with human in the loop workflow. So this is an area I say, yeah, consider it. But remember, AI can accelerate your screening, but it should never independently determine the eligibility. You should still have a human in there reviewing the results and making sure that everything is according to your inclusion and exclusion criteria. And so if you want to try some AI-assisted screening tools, I put 3 of the major software that's used for reviews, which is Rayan, Distiller, and Covidence. And I just want to point out that the Cleveland Health Sciences Library does provide an institutional license for Covidence. So if that's something you're interested in using, visit the library or get in touch with us and we'll tell you how to create an account. So next stage is data extraction. And again, AI use here shows some promise, but it's not quite there yet. So I cited a study here, an ongoing living review by AHRQ. It found that AI automatic extraction is better for descriptive data than results data, but it's not yet adequate for broad application. So what this means is it's getting there. So if you do want to use it, definitely have a an element of human review on your data extraction to make sure that everything is accurate. So the same tools that I recommend for screening, I recommend here, Rayan, Distiller, or Covidence. So next up, we have critical appraisal. And in this case, it's another hard no for AI use. Multiple studies have found substantial error rates in AI-generated risk of bias assessments. One systematic review that I've cited here showed incorrect assessments ranging from 10 to 56%, and it's just not worth it. It's just AI is not it's not ready for prime time for critical appraisal. So stick with your traditional critical appraisal tools, such as the CASP checklist, JBI critical appraisal tools, or a Cochrane risk of bias tool. And finally, at our last stage, we have synthesis and writing, and we're going to give this one a no as well. And why? AI typically, well, I won't say typically, but it often misses conflicting evidence. It can create a superficial synthesis. It has weak critical reasoning. It overstates certainty and produces convincing but inaccurate narratives. So in one study, researchers compared AI-assisted reviews to those that were published in Cochrane Library, and they found that the LLM-generated reviews appeared polished, but they contained omissions, bias, lack of depth, and limited critical analysis. So I say skip AI on these sections. So that wraps up all the stages of your review, but there's a few other considerations that I wanted to include. And that is the type of review you're doing and your role matters for AI usage. And what I mean by that is systematic and scoping reviews have more rigorous standards than a narrative review. So you're going to have more guidelines that you need to follow. And these are the guidelines I've already mentioned earlier, like as Prisma or RAISE, your funder guidelines, or your publisher guidelines. Now, students, you're probably not going to need to follow those guidelines, but you do have to follow the guidelines of your instructor and the university academic integrity policy. So keep your role in mind when you're considering AI use. And next, I want to talk about your purpose for using AI, and your level of expertise will matter in your decision as well. And what I mean by that is if you're using AI because you're not sure how to properly conduct a review, or you're not a subject matter expert and you're using AI to be your expert, you are most likely won't be able to appropriately assess the AI's output for accuracy. So instead of using AI in those situations, we recommend that you seek out an expert, meaning ask a subject expert to join your review team and help review your work and guide you, or ask a librarian to join your team and help you with your search. And if you want to get training, again, I already mentioned that we here at the library do offer free training for you. So reach out and we're happy to train you. And as we're kind of wrapping things up here, I wanted to include this slide that you should always remember that AI tools should be a companion to human expertise, not a replacement. Ultimately, you and your review team are responsible for the rigor, validity, and reporting of your review. And this flow chart that I've included here has always really rung true for me when considering AI usage. And the 3 decision points you see here in the flow chart is, does it matter if the output is true? Do you have the expertise to verify that the output is true? And are you willing and able to take full responsibility for any inaccuracies? If you can answer yes to all of those, it's possible to use AI and feel okay with it. If any of the answers are no, you should think twice and consult with an expert who can help you guide you through the process. And so wrapping it up, as we know and discussed, AI is constantly changing. So no matter what I presented to you today, just always be alert and check for any policy changes. Use your critical thinking and your best judgment. And then when in doubt, you can always reach out to us at the library at askchsl@case.edu. We keep up on this topic, so we are able to guide you in your decisions. And then again, if you need help with the review, just reach out and set up an appointment with one of our librarians. We are here to help you. So that wraps it up for me. I want to thank you all for attending. If you have any questions, I know we only have a few minutes left here, but maybe we can get to any that there are. But you can also reach out to us directly. And if we don't get your questions here, we will be sure to follow up with an email afterwards.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you very much for presenting. I am seeing some questions coming in on under the Q&A. So the first one here is asking, it says the AI.case.edu doesn't provide much usefulness. In the span of an hour or two, I've maxed out the available allowance. So any suggestions or comments on that?
I would say I would share your concerns and comments with UTech to make sure that they know that the limits aren't appropriate for your use. Um, Aside from that, I know it's hard to consider that you may have to pay your own money for tools. And so, the ideal situation is that you shouldn't have to do that. So, yeah, I think that's an issue to bring up with UTech and see if they can give you extra limits somehow.
Um, Next question is saying, I'd like to mention, well, it's a comment that I would like to mention that we have 550 courses, have a 550 course at Crew. I attended that course and that was very helpful for me conducting SRMA.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Definitely take advantage of any classes here on campus, whether they're, more informal classes like what we're doing here or through coursework.
Next question I can answer is asking, will the slides be distributed? Yes, they will. In the next couple of days, I will email all of you the slides and the video, as well as someone's also requested links. And we have one last question, and Elisa's coming in on Q&A. It says, do you recommend using AI? Would you think writing a lit review with AI is wasting time?
That's a tough one. I would, and it's hard for me to answer because, I have expertise in doing reviews. So I kind of look at AI as not saving much time because I personally find it harder to double check AI's work. So in that regard, using I think would be wasting time. It would definitely be wasting time if you tried to publish it and you did not have the expertise to double check the output of AI. So I guess it's kind of like the answer is maybe to yes. I think it can be used judiciously in certain situations that I mentioned, like perhaps screening or data extraction with oversight and planning. And that I don't think is a waste of time. But to do the entire review, no, I would never do that. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, well, that is all the questions I'm seeing coming in. If anyone else has any, please put them in the Q&A and we'll answer them. But otherwise, we are right at 1 o'clock here, so great timing. And we can wrap up this session. Like I said before, I will be emailing the slides and the video, but otherwise, thank you all for attending today. And we look forward to seeing you at future Lunch and Learn sessions, which are being offered once a month. And you can check for those on our campus groups page. So thank you, everyone.